And when you look at the bailout, you could have designed, this is a horribly designed bailout from the get-go. I don't know a single economist who thought that was a way to design a bailout.
But it's not the end of the world. And the more experts you speak to, yes, this bill is likely something that people do clearly want this bill.
Oh, son of a son of a gun. You thought I was going to say son of a bitch, didn't you?
Is the bailout necessary? I would say, you know, all the people who say it's necessary, I say, for what? And that usually shuts them up.
Mr. Speaker, here's the latest reality game. Let's play Wall Street bailout. Rule 1, rush the decision.
An army of lobbyists representing the business interests have been working around the clock this week on Capitol Hill. Their singular focus to further frighten Congress into passing what will be a $1 trillion bailout for Wall Street.
Time the game to fall in the week before Congress is set to adjourn and just 6 weeks before an historic election, so your opponents will be preoccupied, pressured, distracted, and in a hurry.
From the standpoint of the economy, we don't need the big banks. That's not our problem. We can keep the financial system operating. That's what we care about. The fact that banks go under, that's bad news for the bank executives who get paid tens of millions of dollars, by the way. It's bad news for the shareholders who are going to lose all their money in those banks. For the rest of us, we have no particular interest in that.
Rule 2, disarm the public through fear. Warn that the entire global financial system will collapse and the world will fall into another Great Depression.
The only way they can pass this bill is by creating and sustaining a panic atmosphere. That atmosphere is not justified. Many of us were told in private conversations that if we voted against this bill on Monday, that the sky would fall, the market would drop 2,000 or 3,000 points the first day, another couple thousand the second day, and a few members were even told that there would be martial law in America if we voted no. That's what I call fear-mongering. Unjustified. Proven wrong.
Control the media enough to ensure that the public will not notice that this bailout will indebt them for generations. Rule 3, control the playing field and set the rules. Hide from the public and most of the Congress just who is arranging this deal. Heighten political anxiety by contacting each political party separately. Treat members of Congress condescendingly, telling them that the matter is so complex that they must rely on those few insiders who really do know what's going on.
There's no question about it. Wall Street got drunk. One of the reasons I should turn on the TV cameras. He got drunk and now he's got a hangover.
We had a $8 to $10 trillion housing bubble over the decade from 96 to 2006. House prices rose by more than 80% by one measure, 100% in excess of inflation. Over the prior 100 years, 1895 to 1995, house prices have just kept even with inflation. This should have been real simple. In other words, every economist who does this for a living should have been able to look at those numbers and go, housing bubble, housing bubble, housing bubble.
Rule 4, divert attention and keep people confused. Manage the news cycle so Congress and the public have no time to examine who destroyed the prudent banking system that served America so well for 60 years after the financial meltdown of the 1920s.
The elite has absolute contempt for the public. They're going, their emotions got carried away with them. They thought this was, a handout to Wall Street. Well, guess what? The public is exactly right. The elites don't know what they're talking about. They let their emotions get carried away with them. They don't know what bad thing will happen if we don't do the bailout tomorrow, Thursday, before Congress goes away. We don't do it for a month. What will happen? None of them can tell you. They all know it's supposed to be really, really bad, but none of them can tell you.
Rule 5, always keep in mind the goal is to privatize gains to a few and socialize losses to the many. For 30 years, in one financial scandal after another, Wall Street game masters have kept billions of dollars of their gains and shifted their losses to American taxpayers. Once this bailout is in place, the greed game will begin again.
Madam Speaker, I rise in strong opposition to this bill. This is only going to make the problem that much worse. The problem came about because we spent too much, we borrowed too much, and we printed too much money, we inflated too much, and we overregulated. And this is all that this bill is about, is more of the same. So you can't solve the problem. We're looking at a symptom. We're looking at the collapsing of a market that was unstable. It was unstable because of the way it came about. It came about because of the monopoly control of money and credit by the Federal Reserve System, and that is a natural consequence of what happens when a Federal Reserve System creates too much credit. Now, there have been a fair number of free market economists around, predicted this would happen, and do we look to them for advice? No, we totally exclude them, we don't listen to them, we don't look at them. We look to the people who created the problem and then perpetuate the problem. The most serious mistake that could be made here today is to blame free market capitalism for this problem. This has nothing to do with free market capitalism. This has to do with a managed economy, an inflationary system, corporatism, a special interest system. It has nothing to do with the failure of free markets and capitalism. Yet we're resorting now, once again, to promoting more and more government. Long term, this is disastrous because everything we're doing here, everything we've done for 6 months, we've already pumped in $700 billion. Here's another $700 billion. This is going to destroy the dollar. That's what you should be concerned about. Yeah, Wall Street's in trouble. There's a lot of problems. And if we don't vote for this, there's going to be problems. But believe me, if you destroy the dollar, you're going to destroy a worldwide economy, and that's what we're on the verge of doing. And it is inevitable, if we continue this, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a lot more serious than what we're dealing with today. We need to get our house in order. We need more oversight. That is for certainty. But we need oversight of the Federal Reserve System, the Exchange Stabilization Fund, the President's Working Group on Financial Markets. Find out what they're doing. How much have they been meddling in the market? But what we're doing today is going to make things much worse.
What's going on here is they have a gun pointed at their head, and they're trying to tell us that if we don't give them $700 billion, they're going to pull the trigger. And I'm willing to live with that.